Welcome to the Third Eye Show, which brings you ancient wisdom as well as cutting-edge investigations into the mysteries of the universe. The Third Eye Show celebrates our diversity, like the unique beauty of each individual wave, and our oneness, like the magnificent ocean from which each wave emerges. We are all one in spirit as we live on this earth plane. The third eye is said to be able to see into the spiritual and psychic realms. At a time when our lives, our country, and our planet are undergoing intense transformations, we will explore topics that will fascinate, enlighten, and empower. Join us as we witness the thrilling ways spirit manifests in our daily lives and the varied paths we choose to create heaven here on our earth. The Third Eye Show is created and offered in love and light.
We're really excited to bring you this special episode of The Third Eye Show, in which international psychic mediums Beverley Mann from the United Kingdom, Tony Tedesco and Mark Howard from Tampa, Florida, and Leo Torres from Sao Paulo, Brazil, join me, your host, Lucia Read, in responding to some of the most common criticisms of mediumship put forth by so-called skeptics. We directly respond to such misconceptions and flat-out falsehoods as the suggestion that mediums use the internet to research the people we will be reading for, that we cold read or fish for information during readings, and that legitimate mediums shouldn't accept money in exchange for readings at all. You're sure to learn something new on today's Third Eye Show. This comes from the Skeptics Society website, which is claiming that mediums are outright frauds, which is all of us. And here's a quote. It says, "The medium's main method of convincing the client that she is getting messages from a dead loved one involves getting information in rather worldly ways. The medium gets information by chatting up the client before the reading. In television studio sessions, the medium may eavesdrop on conversations, chat up potential, quote, sitters, those getting the reading, or even use electronic eavesdropping equipment."
I feel that many people's opinions as far as how mediums work or what have you are coming from an ignorant perspective, if you will, and are oftentimes fear-based. When you open somebody's mind to their own abilities and you ask them to do the same things, if you will, the knowledge or the concept, if you will, of being a medium all of a sudden starts to change, you see. And it is important for people to understand that everyone is psychic, everyone has the ability to be a medium, and it is a matter of how much they want to develop themselves. I'll be honest, when I first understood about myself, I never knew that you could actually take classes to teach you and to help enhance the abilities that you have. That was a world that I never knew. And I feel many skeptics only take it from the surface, if you will, and they don't understand that there's an actual science behind it. And on top of that, science is starting to catch up to what we in the mediumistic world now know and have known for many years. And so when you start to understand that there's an actual science behind it, and then you learn the different tools and skills and different pieces of knowledge to better yourself, you realize that there really is a world around metaphysical sciences.
Well, first of all, I'd like to point out that I can promise you on camera that I have never ever used electronic equipment in my endeavors to be a more intuitive type person. I can tell you that maybe you out there have experienced situations in your life where maybe you're standing in line, let's say at a coffee shop, and there might be somebody behind you, and maybe you feel slightly compelled to maybe turn around, maybe look at that person behind you, and you sense something. Or maybe you're somewhere else and you feel, for some reason, I feel the need to maybe pay for this person, pay for their way. And these type of feelings, these intuitive type of situations, I can almost guarantee you are not using any electronic equipment in those situations. And you're not pumping the person behind you in line, or the person maybe sitting in the restaurant that maybe you're getting a negative feeling from, or that maybe they're going through something. You don't know this person, you've never pumped them for information, and you don't have a microphone at their table. But there's just something intuitively, inside you, that is occurring.
In actual fact, having any prior knowledge or foul play will just work against you. Because when you work as a medium, it has to come completely instinctive and direct from spirit. So there's no angle to work, doing homework beforehand in any shape or form, because it has to come direct from a higher source.
Not only does it not enhance the reading, it is detrimental to have information about you. It is a handicap to have information about you. So the thought, I'm not saying that it's impossible that somebody somewhere is putting on some kind of charlatan show and is planting microphones, but I have never heard of this. I've been doing this all my life. I've never heard of anyone in the real world actually doing this, and I know a lot of mediums. I don't know of anyone who would approve of it. I don't know of anyone who does it, and I think that it's frankly outrageous to suggest such a thing.
Lucia, I love the way you said that. I truly do. Some of the hardest people for me to read, honestly, are my friends and my family. My aunt called me the other day asking if I could read her, and I have to tell her I said no. It's not because I did not want to. It's because I know too much about them. And to me, that is an honest medium. It is an absolute honest medium. This notion of people doing something, that is cheating, if you will, Googling something or something along those lines is preposterous. And in readings I have had, I've actually asked people, Google it, and see if you can come up with that kind of information. And really, it's not as easy as some people are making it out to be. I have never known any medium to cheat in any way, shape, form, or otherwise. I've studied at the Arthur Findlay College, and I can assure you that none of those tutors, none of those mediums have ever done anything along the lines of making something erroneous. And I think it's absolutely preposterous. Are there folks out there that do that? I guess. I've not met them. But that goes against the ethics and morals and the responsibility that a medium has.
Amen. Let me give you an example of information that came through that not only could I not have looked up because it would be too trivial to be on the internet, but that the sitter, the person I was reading for, didn't even know. So I was not even picking this up telepathically. It had to be coming from a spirit communicator, in this case, her dad. Someone was talking about pickles. Now, I don't want to talk about someone's reading specifically, but suffice it to say that there was an issue about pickles, It sounds ridiculous, but I've learned through long experience to just go with whatever is given to me. So I said, Dad's talking about pickles on a sandwich. He doesn't like the pickles on the sandwich, or he wants pickles on his sandwich. There's some kind of controversy about pickles on a sandwich. She didn't even know what I was talking about. She said, I don't know what that is. I'll have to go and see if I can find out about it. And only when she went to ask Mom about it did it come out that, yeah, there was a thing about pickles. And it was good evidence. That's important, to bring through that evidence so that she really understands this is really and truly her dad who is here. Nobody's making this up. Nobody is Googling this or looking it up on the internet. Nobody could look it up on the internet, because nobody would be posting, Bob used to like pickles, and I'm going to somehow know this. I didn't even know I was going to read for this person. So, and that's another thing. How often does somebody sit down whom we not only do not know, so we couldn't look something up, but we had no idea we were even going to read for this person. So the idea of looking things up on the internet is preposterous, exactly as Tony said.
I agree with you 100%, Lucia. What we would want to give you in a sitting is to be able to give you that vital piece of evidence that will make, for example, your father or your mother and no one else's. For me, evidence isn't just about how tall someone was or what they did for a living, but actually those little bits of information that can only relate to that person, and it's information that us as a medium would not have known otherwise. And sometimes it does take the sitter to go back to perhaps extended family to verify that information, and that's what makes a message so special.
Okay, I mean, on the face of it, you can understand how some people could be skeptical of people who claim to be able to listen to and communicate the thoughts and feelings of people who have died. They think when you're dead, you're dead. You're gone, that's it. I don't see him anymore, he's not here anymore, that's it. On the face of it, I think, it's a reasonable thing to query. So how does this work? How can this be possible?
It's all built around energy, and we all can feel and sense energy. And I feel even skeptics or naysayers or whomever else there may be, cynics, can at least agree upon that there's an energy field that is around us, if you will. And so when people pass on into the afterlife, they don't go away. They don't just disappear forever. They may leave their physical bodies, but inside our physical body is the true essence of who we are, which is our fingerprint, our soul. And our soul rises into the afterlife. When I'm sitting in front of somebody, I'm first going to typically blend with their energy. It's that energy field that I was telling you about earlier, because everyone carries this energy. And so I typically will blend with their energy. And once I do that, I get a feel for who they are. I get a feel for their essence, who they truly are, their soul, and how they animate and how they go about life, if you will. And then in doing so, I open my own energy up. I open myself up. And spirit will come through, if you will. And I'll feel spirit. What does it feel like? I honestly feel that it feels differently for each medium. For me, I get a sense of tingles around my neck, and the hair on my neck, if you will sometimes stand up, and I'll honestly understand and know that spirit is there. And then I will focus. If you see mediums work, oftentimes they're looking at one specific spot. And once they do that, what they're doing is they're shifting their mind, if you will, and allowing spirit to come through. And I'll start to not analyze, but just give the sitter the information that spirit is giving me. And I also have to be cognizant that the reading isn't for me, and the information is not for me to understand. It's for the sitter. And I feel it's very, very important the information is not for us. And so Spirit comes through, and the more I start to speak, and the sitter starts to speak, and when I say speak, I mean just yes, no, maybe, okay, not giving information. Feeding the medium is absolutely not appropriate whatsoever. Yes, no, maybe. Simple as that. But once you do that, you establish that line of communication, if you will. And it's sort of like talking on a cellular phone. You're talking and it's sort of staticky, if you will, until you get into an area of great reception where you raise that level, if you will. You see, because Spirit, they have to lower their energy. We have to raise our energy. And no two spirits are created alike. And much of this is actually learned. And you can learn these skills by attending classes through mediums who know what they're doing, who understand that there's a science behind it, if you will, not taking spirit out of it and making it all mechanical, but understanding that there are exercises that one can do to enhance their ability to either see, hear, feel spirit.
That's interesting, because I have a really close friend in Brazil, and she asked me that, like we was in a ride, and she asked me, this is intuitive, the mediumship is, you create that, is your imagination, what it is, like how you do that. And then since the point that you can give something that prove that is essential in the reading, the people can know that it's not an imagination, that's really some spirit come closer.
That's a very interesting point, Leo, that you brought up, and I feel a very important point. Like Tony said, how we actually get our information is by raising our vibrations, so that, and spirit have to lower their vibrations, so it's a meeting of minds in the middle, and we have to what we call the ABC. It's about attuning to your sitter, and then blending with the spirit communicator, and staying with them, and then being able to communicate. And actually, if we think about it, the only way that they can communicate is by blending of the minds. And so therefore they do work on our imagination. It is 100% correct. They work on our imagination. Otherwise, how else can we give convey the messages? And so the spirit communicator that will come forward to you will be the person, will be a communicator that will draw upon the medium's experience, their own personal experiences, and they will bring that thought into our mind. And we have to, as a working medium, what we have to do is actually not analyze that thought and allow it to just, we should just be the channel, and the information comes through us and through our mouths. And what's the most loveliest thing about this is, as a teacher of mediumship myself, is actually watching my students who completely surprise themselves when they've stood up and given a message, and they've said afterwards, oh my Lord, that is just my imagination, and the person they're giving the message to has validated everything they've just said. And I have said to them, it's not your imagination, it is the blending of the minds from the spirit communicator to the medium, so that we can pass on those messages of love.
So let me tell you what I call the psychic 2x4. What that is the information that sets you up for the message. So now you know that this is genuine, this is really happening, as incredible as it may seem, and it does seem incredible. And after doing this for a lifetime, I'm in awe of it. I hope that I always am. I hope that I always remain in awe of this. We should be in awe of this. It's awesome in the truest sense of the word. When you really get it, that this is real and it's really happening, then the message can bless you. The message can help you in so many ways.
I'd like to address one contention that several of my friends and relatives and coworkers have mentioned to me before, and that's this concept of a psychic that is kind of pumping for information. And sometimes you've heard this term, it's called cold reading. But I'd like to give you some examples of that. So they're concerned that a psychic might, for example, see the person was smoking, and the psychic might say something like, "Oh, I'm seeing your father," and they're telling me that, you know, you need to be healthier. So, or the concept where the psychic starts speaking vaguely, and they'll say something like, "Oh, I have a feeling someone in your family is in trouble or has an issue." And then, so it's such an open-ended question, and I fear that, you know, many of the people I know have an issue with that, and that's the perception they have. And I'd like to address that today with our mediums here and see what they feel about that.
Mark, that's a very interesting point, and the best term that I learnt for that is the word, like we have clairvoyance or clairsentience, we call it vague sentience. It's like vague mediumistic, and yeah, it's working on a psychic level. There's so much information you can pick up from your sitter's aura, everything about their life and about their mental and their physical well-being as well as their spiritual well-being. But we truly know when we've got a spirit link by bringing forward that vital piece of information, because I've seen mediums work and they'll go to someone in the hall. They won't bring someone forward from the spirit world straight away. They will go in, and I can see them working on a cold level, and they will say, they'll go up to a 70-year-old person and they'll say, "Oh, I've got your mum here in spirit." And they say, "Actually, my mum's still alive and she's 90. "Oh, well, it's your dad here." And then they'll just look, and for us as a medium, I can tell when someone is what we call in their power, i.e. they are communicating with spirit and not cold reading someone. What the pure intention that I have, and I know my fellow mediums around me want to do, is actually convey something to you, a piece of information that will make their relatives and those close to them different from someone else's. So for example, when my father comes through, I don't want to hear about, you know, he passed with a pain here or a pain there. I want to hear about the songs that he might have sung to me, or how he tenderly would touch, I would tenderly touch his ear, you know, and bring him, as I said before, to bring him alive. These are the kinds of evidence that proves that we are not cold reading, that spirit are coming forward to blend with our minds and communicate those little pieces of information that make my father different from the next person's father. That's pure mediumship, and that's not cold reading.
Thank you for that question, Marcus. It's an important question, and a lot of people are confused about this idea of cold reading. And I can tell you that any medium worth his or her salt does not want you to give information. In fact, will ask you to please refrain from giving information, and please only say yes, no, or perhaps I need more information, maybe, that kind of thing. I think I can take it, give me more information. That's all I want to hear when I'm giving someone a reading. I certainly don't want them filling in any blanks, because that's going to just completely muddy the reading. And then if you say the name Beverly and I hear the name Beverly, well, then it's useless for me to say it, isn't it? Because you just said it. So don't help me, because you're not helping me. So the concept of cold reading is something that you should be aware of, because anybody who says something vague like in a room full of people, "Oh, I have an M here," I wouldn't trust to be actually doing any kind of real mediumship. That is not mediumship. Mediumship is establishing a link with the spirit world, is blending the energies, as has been said, and bringing through information from that spirit communicator. It is not asking you to fill in the blanks. So be aware of that. When you go for a reading, do not give information. And when you hear someone asking or pumping for information, let those antennas go up, because there's something that's not kosher there.
Like I get really Our Father here, and then Your Father said, I am thinking, this is an example, but like this song, he's saying this song, and you don't know that Your Father liked that song, so you say no, and then I will, then with this kind of help, yes, no, maybe I can go back and say, okay, it's not working, give me other things, because this happened.
That's what I was thinking
this happened,
before.
Yes.
right?
Like, no,
So
yes.
then you can go.
Yeah.
You need to go back and say, okay,
For
change
you,
that.
for learning.
Good,
But-
good, good. Yes,
but
yes.
do you know,
No,
this is a
it's-
good example
Yes,
if
it
if I
is.
say with songs, because it happened, like you said, oh my gosh, she likes Shakira.
You're teaching
You know?
those and how that all you gotta do is just go back. So good
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
But how should I say, because this can
Yes.
be supposed to code meeting, code
I see what
what?
you're
Cold
saying.
reading.
Code
yeah.
reading,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but then you have, to prove that it's not code meeting, you go back. This is
Yes,
right.
yes,
Say
yes.
this way.
A no is
Yes.
a no is important, because it's important to get a no, because a no shows that actually we've misunderstood the information from the communicator, and therefore we shouldn't allow it to disempower ourselves. We need to go back and get it right. It's really important to a good medium to get that information right. So it's possible we haven't felt it correctly, or we haven't heard it correctly, and so we will go back to the communicator and ask them to verify the information that they're giving, so it can be understood. Sometimes they will work on, like we said before, they'll work on our imagination, and so they will give us symbology, symbols. So we may see, we may see a rubber duck or a frog, but it could be a song, it could be a memory of a rubber duck. So therefore, what we have to do is not allow our own minds to come in to the equation and just give the information as it is, and if it's not correct, then take it back to spirit and ask them to sort it out.
Okay, sometimes to prove that it's not code reading, when you are reading someone and then you get the message, and these people want to say that, okay, I'm listening Frank Sinatra or something like that, and the sitter don't get it because he don't know what's the sorry.
I mean, he doesn't know that, say, his father liked Frank Sinatra or something like that?
Yeah, he doesn't know that the father likes the likes from his father. So with the feedback from the quick feedback from the city, yes, no, maybe you can. Okay, I will go back, and this is not working. So give me other proof to keep going and get it flow.
So you can ask spirit. You
Yeah.
as a medium can ask spirit to give you something else.
Give
Yeah,
more
you as a
information.
medium can ask the spirit to change to, because some evidence that you can really prove what's going on. Yeah. So sometimes you are in a reading, so you, the sitting, and the spirit, and then the spirits tell you something about songs, as an example, Frank Sinatra, and then the sitter don't get it, and then I know that it's Frank Sinatra singing in my ear, so I will say it's working, and then with the quick feedback, no, yes. If I get the feedback as no, then I can go raise my energy and say, please let's talking about something that make this evidence. But for sure, I feeling that when this sitter come home, he will get Frank Sinatra, he will ask somewhere, and happen like, and he get a double proof or something like that, and that's awesome.
Okay, I'd like to talk about money. Money's an important subject. It comes up a lot. What fees are appropriate? Should psychics and mediums even charge at all for their time? I think it was interesting that the skeptics on their website were criticizing someone for accepting payment when on their own website they're selling magazines and t-shirts and everything else to further their work, but somehow it wasn't okay for psychics or mediums to accept payment for their work. But I'd like to know what you think as intuitives and psychics and mediums about accepting money. And a related question, if you'd like to address this as well. I actually saw this on a billboard on a Vermont church, outside of a church in Vermont. There was a sign that said something to the effect of, if they're so psychic, why don't they win the lottery? Why aren't they all rich? So question one, how do you feel about accepting money? Do you think it's okay? And if this is a God-given gift, is it all right to accept money? And how come you're not rich if you're so psychic?
The concept of asking for money, receiving money, in all honesty, has been something difficult even for me as a medium. Sometimes I have a difficult time asking for money or charging a fee. But it was told to me that, life is about exchange. Everything is about exchange and about balance. And the concept of exchanging that fee for the information that you have is valid. And the information that one receives will hopefully be well worth the money 10 times over that you give a medium, given the medium isn't overcharging. If you're charging $800 for one sitting that lasts 20 or 30 minutes, I would question the validity of that reading, quite truthfully. It's no different than price gouging for gas, if you will. You're providing a service, just like the cleaners are providing a service, just like a car wash is providing a service. We're providing a service for you, and that service should be compensated. And if you follow such books as The Game of Life by Florence Scovel Shinn, who says, for the most part, again, that concept of balance. And so if I block money, it tells the universe that I don't need money and I'm not going to get any money. So the universe will react accordingly, if you will. And so that exchange creates a balance. And don't forget, what is life about? That balance between body, mind, and spirit. And so we're providing a service, and it should be paid accordingly.
Yes, I'd just like to pick up on something that Tony says, and I completely wholeheartedly agree with him. It is difficult. At first you feel really difficult taking money from someone, but it is a service that we provide, and like a carpenter, you will pay for his craft. There's also, Tony, your time. It's not just about the service that you're giving, it is your own personal time that you are giving to the person in front of you, and so it is providing a service. What I feel quite passionate about is people that charge huge amounts of money for readings, because I believe that when someone comes for a reading, there is a need, and there is usually an emotional need, and it's the medium's job to find out the need of that sitter and to help them. And my question actually is to all those mediums that do charge a lot of money, is what makes a reading worth $20 or $200? Because at the end of the day, the communicator, that person of spirit, will come to the person that they want to convey their message for them to their loved ones, and they're not interested in whether you're charging $20 or $200. So what I'm saying to you guys out there, that the money side of it is not important, because you are giving a message of love, and it shouldn't matter whether you shouldn't be paying $200 for that, because I don't believe that some mediums do overcharge, and they need to remember that it is a service that they are providing for the spirit world, and not take advantage of their gifts. And my final point, and what I mean to say, is that as a medium, I would never want to limit myself. So just because someone has endless amounts of money for a reading, and then there is another person who has an equal need who cannot afford it, I would never want to limit myself. I'd like to feel that I am available for everybody that needs a reading from me, whatever they can afford. So it's not about the money, it's about passing that message on.
You know, I've heard some people say that being with a medium is a very personal experience, and it really is, because you're bringing through conversations possibly with loved ones or people that are close or have been close in the past. And these situations, it sounds hard, you know, if you have to pay money for that. But if you step back and think about it a little bit, you know, and think of a doctor who might provide the service of saving your life, or a dentist pulling your teeth and making you well. They are still charging you for that. And that's a very personal service they're charging for. Or a psychiatrist. But another example I'd like to bring up that's very close, and let's say that your mother has sent you a gift package with a parcel company, and it's on its way to you. And it was sent to you cash on delivery, COD. Would you refuse that because you thought the parcel company was wrong to charge you for that message from your mother? Or would you pay for that? If you told the parcel company that, how dare you charge me for this message from my mother, you should give this to me, it's such a personal thing. And if the parcel company agreed with that and did that for all of those messages from those mothers and family members, I really doubt that company would be around much longer, because they cannot succeed that way. They cannot exist as an entity. So if you're a medium, and a medium is never expected to receive payment for that message delivery, then how can a medium succeed and continue that practice of offering and delivering those messages to you?
So, why don't mediums give readings away for free? Well, they do. Everybody I know gives readings away for free all the time. I would guess, if I had to guess, I would say maybe 25 to 35% of the readings that all the people I know who are mediums perform are free. Not only for their friends and family, but for extended friends, for people they don't know. When they feel moved, when we feel moved to give away a reading, we give it away. If we gave all the readings away, how well would they be valued? And I want to tell you about a friend of mine who is experienced now, but wasn't always. And when he was first getting into his mediumship, he didn't feel confident enough to charge. He didn't feel like he had the right to charge, so he didn't. And he gave, I don't know how many readings, a lot of readings away. All right, so he's taking bookings, he's doing readings, and he's not charging for them. People were not showing up for the readings because they weren't paying for them. They didn't feel that they had to honor the appointment, so they just didn't show up. They were arguing with him rather than saying, I can't take that, and then going home to see if they could find out the information. They would just argue with him. Because, you know, how good could he be? He's not charging for the reading. How good could this really be? In other words, they were not placing any kind of value on it because he was not placing a value on it. Or he was not placing any kind of monetary value on it, a value that they could understand. Okay? So those are two, I think, really important points. People do give away readings, but we can't give them all away because, first of all, we have to eat too. And the hours that I take out of my day that I could be doing something else need to be compensated. And they need to be compensated not only for that reason, but because you have to value the reading. And I'll tell you, people really don't value the readings as much when they're free. So next time you think about that, oh, it's a God-given gift, why don't they just give it away? Remember that we do. So I hope we've addressed your concerns directly, not through innuendo or supposition, as unfortunately we find, on the internet and some of these websites that are disparaging what they really don't understand. Rather than do the same, we have tried to directly address the issues and the implications, the innuendos that are thrown at mediums. So I hope that we have addressed your questions. If you have further questions, you can contact any of us for clarification. I think I can speak for all of us. We'd be happy to speak with you and help you to understand anything that is unclear. But we do have one remaining point, one remaining thing that I think it's important to address, and that is the fact that there are fakes out there. Absolutely, just like there are auto mechanics who, say, I will fix your car while they're really pulling out one thing while they're fixing the other thing. There are fakes and frauds in any walk of life. And there are some mediums, some people who set themselves up as psychic healers or mediums or psychics who are not. How can you tell the difference? That's the question for the panel.
First off, I would ask you to do your research about that person. That's first and foremost. And then when you are in front of that medium or you're watching a medium work, ask yourself some questions. Is that medium asking questions rather than validating points? Is that medium just pulling for information and citing vague pieces of information, trying to elicit some response from someone in their audience or from the sitter themselves? Lucia certainly makes a valid point. There are absolute some frauds out there, or there are people who may not necessarily be a fraud, they're just not as well trained, let's say. At any rate, it's something for you to look out for. So I'd look out for where is that medium looking? What are they saying? What are they asking you? Are they trying to feed off of the information that you're giving them? And the other thing, which I feel is your best judgment, is follow your own intuition. What do you sense? Don't forget, it's all about energy. What do you feel? And go with that.
Following your own intuition is very important. Always go by your gut feel in every circumstance in life. And it's the same if you're having a home built or having work done on your house. Go to the person that you're drawn who will serve you the best. What's one man's meat is another man's poison. But always avoid a medium that keeps asking you to come back, or will prophesize or promise to tell you your future if you come back again. You need to follow your heart. And also the very important thing is what I feel very passionate about is actually the correct teaching of mediums, because like Lucia quite rightly said, there are a lot of mediums out there who think they are mediums, and they are working more on a psychic basis and they're not truly connecting. So knowledge is the key, and training of mediums, and so that they work with the best intentions, not only for the spirit world but also their sitter, is of great importance.
I can give you some red flags. I would be suspicious of anyone who advertises that they can do 6 or 8 things. I'm a healer, I'm an astrologer, I can fix your past lives, I can clean up your aura, I can clear out your chakras. Anybody who makes claims like that, right away, that's a red flag for me. Also, Anybody who I sat down across from who said to me that there was a curse on me, that's a fake right there. There are no curses. That's baloney. Anybody who's willing to take your money to keep coming back and back and back, as Beverly said, big red flag, because any legitimate psychic, healer, chakra reader, aura reader, medium, anyone who does any kind of energy work, anyone who does this work legitimately will not want to see you more than, I would say, maybe every 3 months, maybe every 6 months, depending on what's going on. Anybody who says, yeah, come on back next week and we'll talk about it some more, red flag, because they're looking to take your money. They're really not trying to serve you, because in fact, the information that comes through is for you, and you need to sit with it. You need to spend time with that information. This is a sacred exchange. It's a very intimate and sacred exchange. It's not something that you do flippantly or off the cuff, come back every Tuesday. Those are red flags. I think what you want to look for are recommendations, number one. So if you want to find a reader and you don't know where to go, ask your friends. Ask who has gotten a good reading. Secondly, if you have a New Age shop in your town or a good bookshop that's got sort of New Age, so-called New Age books about mediumship or psychic phenomena, ask them, because they may very well know someone who's reputable. You want someone who's reputable. To find that person, you may have to do a little bit of digging, and you may come up against a few people who are throwing out curses and, you know, that kind of thing before you find the right reader for you. But if you stick with it, you'll find the right reader. And again, as has been said, trust your intuition. If you go to a psychic fair and there are half a dozen readers or 10 readers, you'll be drawn to someone. Trust that, because that's your own psychic sense saying, this is the reader for me. Now, having said that, you may find if you sit across from that person, they say, oh, there's a curse on you. Well, I made a mistake. But you can pretty much trust that psychic sense of your own. So number one, trust yourself. And be aware of some of these red flags we've talked about. If somebody is putting out, you know, asking a lot of questions instead of giving you information. If somebody's saying, keep coming back to me, these are red flags. Other than that, I think you're going to find that most people who are doing this work are legitimate. They're dedicated, they are honest, they really are striving to help you, and this is deep soul work that we all take very seriously. And I think you're going to find that 99 times out of 100, the person you're sitting across from really is trying to help you and does have your best interests at heart and is trying to serve spirit. So in that sense, they are doing wonderful spiritual work, and I honor them all. So I hope we've given you a few things to think about. We've cleared up a few misconceptions. Again, write to us if you have questions. Any of us would be happy to address your questions and chat with you more about this, because we want you to understand how this works. It's not mysterious. It's not paranormal. It is normal. And it's wonderful, wonderfully satisfying work. Thanks for watching.
Within its temple, you receive true selfhood. Your in-breath partakes of its holy essence. You breathe out its fragrance to heal the world. The mountains, I become part of it. The herbs, the fir trees, I become part of it. The morning mists, the clouds, the gathering waters, I become part of it.